Hello everyone. Welcome to this channel JIKOOK Universe. In this video we will discuss something interesting and definitely a shame to miss. Come on, watch until the end. In the entertainment world, filled with cameras, there are moments that can't always be described in words. Amidst the glare of stage lights, the screams of fans and the thunder of music filling the air, there's a connection that feels so real, yet never explicitly expressed. That connection belongs to Park Jimin and Jungkook. For those who pay attention, this closeness isn't simply the result of years of togetherness as bandmates. There's something warmer, more personal and deeper. The glances captured by the camera, the smiles that appear unnoticed, and the touches that are so light yet so meaningful. All of these create a story that only the two of them know the full meaning of. One such moment that bore silent witness to this closeness was when they attended Jin's solo concert. That day, even though they were just audience members, the fans' cameras captured something different. Amidst a sea of people, they stood side by side, shoulders almost touching, bodies moving to the beat of the music in near-perfect harmony. Jungkook often glanced over, his eyes catching Jimin's face, and that smile, a soft smile he rarely showed in front of others, simply appeared. Jimin returned the favor not with a casual smile, but a smile that held a sense of comfort, as if saying, "I'm glad you're here." To an outsider it might seem simple. But to those who understand their dynamic, it's a small piece of the larger picture of their relationship. A painting filled with love, care, and a sense of mutual preference. This closeness isn't just visible at big events. In the live broadcasts they've done together, the warm atmosphere is even more palpable. In one live broadcast still fresh in fans' memories, Jimin sat very close to Jungkook from the start, the distance so small that their shoulders were barely apart. Whenever he had the chance, Jimin would touch Jungkook, sometimes brushing his arm, sometimes gently patting his knee, gestures that might seem trivial to others but meaningful to them. Jungkook, notoriously difficult to express himself easily, reciprocated in a way only Jimin understood. A small smile, a warm look, or a light touch on the back. Interactions like these were no accident. It was a language they developed over years, a language that didn't require words. As the camera captured them hugging several times during the broadcast, viewers could sense that the hugs weren't just a show to entertain fans. They were the embraces of two people who truly knew each other, trusted each other, and needed each other. Their story is also marked by caring in simple ways. Like when eating pizza, a moment some might overlook. Jimin, struggling to cut a slice, didn't need to ask for help. Jungkook immediately moved closer, taking over with deft hands, ensuring Jimin didn't struggle or get hurt. It wasn't just spontaneous kindness, but a habit born of a desire to care. On Are You Sure? Their interaction became even more undeniable. They shared food from the same plate, fed each other without awkwardness, and sometimes even ate from the same spoon as if it were a habit they'd been having for years. These scenes never felt contrived. There were no stares for the camera, no overly exaggerated attempts to show off. Everything flowed naturally, like a couple accustomed to caring for each other behind the scenes. And then there were the moments when Jimin didn't look his best. In one episode his energy dipped, his pace slowed. Jungkook, without being asked, took over the kitchen, cooking for him, making sure he ate, making sure he wasn't alone. He didn't stray even for a moment, as if being by Jimin's side was the most important thing in that moment. This is why many fans feel their relationship transcends friendship or professionalism. Because moments like that can't be faked. They're not trying to prove anything to the world, they're simply being themselves. And in the process they show how deeply they care. We often see them on stage, moving in perfect synchronization. But what's equally fascinating are their interactions off stage, when the lights aren't on. Jungkook quietly straightening Jimin's jacket, or Jimin wordlessly offering him his drink. During group interviews they tend to sit close together, touching each other's arms, or exchanging glances when something funny or important is being discussed. Even in silence they talk. Often when one looks tired the other will approach without saying much, sometimes just sitting next to them. It's as if their physical presence alone is enough to strengthen them. This kind of relationship is built on deep trust. A belief that the other will always be there without being asked. Backstage at concerts, there are small recordings that show this routine. Jimin making sure Jungkook is focused, Jungkook whispering something in Jimin's ear that makes him laugh. None of this is strategy or choreography. It's part of them, a part that even time can't erase. People could argue trying to interpret this relationship with various labels. But those who see with their hearts know. Whatever you call it, there's a bond that can't be erased. From their trainee days until now, that pattern has never changed. Jungkook will seek out Jimin when he hesitates in front of the camera, and Jimin will provide a sense of security simply by standing by his side. Most admirably, this relationship doesn't depend on place or situation. Whether on an international tour, a Korean TV show, or a casual dorm vlog, the essence remains the same. They always return to walking side by side. In the midst of a crowd, among dozens of people, there's always a small space just for them. A space where a glance, a smile, and a small touch speak louder than 1,000 words. Perhaps out there, many are unwilling or unable to see it. But for those who pay attention, the evidence is clear. Day after day, show after show, moment after moment, Jimin and Jungkook always, without hesitation, choose each other. One night after a long schedule abroad, BTS returned to their hotel. The other members had already retired to their rooms, but Jimin and Jungkook were still in the lobby, sitting on the sofa with warm drinks in hand. The dim lights created a serene atmosphere. Jungkook looked at Jimin, who looked tired. His eyes a little droopy, his shoulders slightly slumped. Without a word, Jungkook handed him his jacket. "Wear this, Hyung. The air conditioning is cold," he said quietly. Jimin smiled, shook his head slightly as if to refuse, but ultimately accepted it and put it on. The jacket was too big, but that made it even more comfortable. They sat there, sharing a silence that felt intimate. No cameras, no audience, just the two of them silently watching each other. Another moment occurred while they were traveling to Japan for a concert. On the plane, their seats were next to each other. When the cabin lights were turned off, most of the passengers were already asleep. Jimin watched a movie for a while, but soon his eyes began to close. Jimin's head slowly tilted and finally rested on Jungkook's shoulder. Instead of waking him, Jungkook stayed still, allowing Jimin to remain where he was. His hand even reflexively held Jimin's head to keep it from shaking during the slightest turbulence. Under the dim light, he stared at Jimin's sleeping face as if to make sure he was truly comfortable. There was also a moment backstage at a major concert in Seoul. 5 minutes before going on stage, the atmosphere in the waiting room was quite tense. Everyone was busy with final preparations. In the corner, Jimin seemed to have his eyes closed, trying to catch his breath. Jungkook approached, crouched down in front of him and jokingly said, "Hyung, if you're nervous, just look at me." Jimin opened his eyes, smiled, and nodded. When they finally went on stage, Jimin's first gaze fell on Jungkook, and the small smile on his face seemed much more relaxed. Not only on stage, but even in simple routines, this relationship felt special. One afternoon, while filming fan content, it suddenly rained. All the members ran for shelter. Jimin, who didn't have an umbrella, quickly ducked, trying to protect his hair. Jungkook, who was behind him, immediately opened his umbrella and held it for them both. Despite the pouring rain, Jungkook made sure Jimin's side remained dry, even as it made parts of his own body wet. "The important thing is that you don't get sick," he murmured softly, barely audible over the sound of the rain. Are you sure?" One of the most memorable scenes for fans is when they cook together. Many assume it's just entertainment, but their expressions tell a different story. Jimin chops vegetables while Jungkook busies himself at the stove. Jungkook occasionally peeks at Jimin's work and casually fixes any cuts he finds untidy. Jimin pretends to pout, but the smile on his lips can't be hidden. Meanwhile, Jungkook discreetly ensures the food tastes just right, even adjusting the seasonings to Jimin's liking, something he wouldn't bother with if it were just for the cameras. This closeness is also evident in photo shoots. Between outfit changes, Jimin sits in the makeup chair, checking his phone. Jungkook walks by, then pauses to adjust Jimin's shirt collar without being asked. The cameras in the room captured the moment, but for those watching, there's another detail. The quick glances they exchange, as if it were an old habit that doesn't need to be discussed. Even in seemingly trivial moments like choreography practice, they have a unique pattern. When the music stops, the other members will talk to the trainer or sit down for a break. But Jimin and Jungkook often walk close together, share a water bottle, or simply chuckle over something only they understand. There's a comfort in that habit, a comfort born of familiarity and trust. Time has tested this relationship. From stressful trainee days to global artists, much has changed, but their patterns remain the same. Finding each other in the crowd, looking out for each other without being asked, being a place to call home even when they're busy with their own lives. To those who want to close their eyes, all of this may be nothing more than fan service. But to those who look closer, the evidence of that closeness is plain to see. No words of love needed, no grand promises, just small, consistent actions, day after day, year after year. And perhaps that's where the beauty lies. Love, in its purest form, rarely comes with a big bang. More often, it's present as it is for Jimin and Jungkook. In unwavering gazes, in smiles reserved for one person, and in every step they take as they somehow find themselves side by side. Thank you for accompanying the sweet story of Jimin and Jungkook today. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss their next special moment. See you in the next video, JIKOOKers.